I legit haven't listened to this in probably like
How long has it been?
8 to 10 years, probably. Definitely since
Oh my
pandemic.
god.
I definitely haven't listened to the fucking intro mix.
Right.
Yeah.
I pulled this out the other day and preparing a little bit for well, reminiscing, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a hot mic, by the way, so you don't have to be right on it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, as long as it's not tipping over and stuff.
Yep.
I just want to get through one drop.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, I kind of snapped on this.
You did! Oh man, that used to fire me up so much in high school, dude. I would play that before like every swim meet that I was in.
I don't know if you want to save it for the podcast, but I have
No,
a
we're
funny
rolling.
Story. Oh, we are.
We are rolling.
So funny story about that. This was, the golden age of SoundCloud, and I was on my grind, and
right on the precipice of like golden EDM before Future Bass was where this was, right?
Yes. So this was early 2014, and so Wild West. People are just downloading acapellas and just like throwing shit on the internet, with no regard for legality. The label, no one had any idea what was going on, and I had been putting out remixes like every 3 weeks for a year and a half, and this was like this was the one I was like at the end of my rope, and I was like, dude, I've been fucking grinding, and I don't know if I can keep this up. And so I like, it was the night before, and I vividly remember laying on my couch and being like, I don't know if I can do this. Because, you put out a remix and you dream that it's going to do everything. And then inevitably it probably won't do that. But then I put this song out, and this was like the hype machine grind. So I was like emailing, there you go, I'm
going to ask you about the rest of what I have here, but keep going.
And, I did my thing. I emailed this, all the blogs, told all my friends, texted all my friends to heart and listen and whatever the fuck. And
this was before like Submit Hub. So how are you getting these contacts in the era before that?
Dude, literally just fucking going on websites and like finding contact emails, and like some people had like spreadsheets and shit, but it was literally just like
those were coveted to find those spreadsheets.
Yeah, but a lot of it was just like submission emails, and then be like, oh shit, like fucking, what, like Fresh New Tracks, like you can't send them to the regular one. You like, here's the guy at Fresh New Tracks, and like shit like that, right?
Totally.
It was, and then this one it was my first one that blew up, and it popped off, and it was my first like million stream remix. And then so I released on a Friday. On Monday I got a fucking email from Capitol Records being like, hey, we need to talk. And I was like, no fucking shot. Like, my first remix that actually pops, I'm going to get fucking copyrighted.
Oh, my God.
And then, so my buddy who's managing is like, it's all right. And then he's like, I'll take the call. And then he was like, yo, they actually want to sign it. And they're like, what's your fee? And I was like, I don't know. I'm like, I've never been paid for music before. And then sort of like $1,000. And they're like, yeah, sure. And definitely should have asked for more.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that was the first one that really broke for me and like kind of launched my internet music career.
So that track is like an officially licensed remix?
It is.
Is that on
now.
Spotify?
Unclear. I don't know if they ever uploaded it.
Is that unclear to you? I had to find that on the depths of SoundCloud because it's not even on my Hype Machine anymore, which I haven't. I had to log into my account from like 10 years ago. But
I didn't know there were still Hype Machine accounts, but that's awesome. No, I don't know. I mean, it's owned by the label, so it's kind of up to if they uploaded it or not. I like eventually got like a copyright strike on it like years later, but at that point I was like, well, half the stuff got taken down.
Right. Well, that's crazy, regardless that they reached out to you and you thought you were about to be, you know.
Yeah, it's just crazy how life works, right? Because I was literally at the end of my rope, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And then this one popped off, and the next one I did was the Team remix.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Which, hilariously, I was like, shit, man, I'm getting millions of plays. Like, I fucking made it. And in reality, it's like nothing really changed.
Absolutely.
It's, that's the story of music. It's like,
yeah, the SoundCloud remixes where you take really like baity hooks, right, and you throw them on something cool, and that garners attention. Doesn't really translate into follows and like dependable fan base.
Yes. What it does is it gets your name in front of people, and we had a rule, like it was like people need to see your name like whatever 5 or 8 times before they'll click on it, and then they have to listen to like 5 or 8 times before they're like, oh, I like this artist, and then they have to like listen to 5 or 8 songs before they're like, oh, I really like this artist and want to go to a ticket. So it's like, it's just the first step.
Yeah. I mean, 10 years ago, I'm not discounting anything you're doing in recent years, but I was just like a huge fan of yours. Like, in my high school era, me and all my buddies were, and I think that's like such a primed age to grab fans at is like when they're like in their 16, 17 to 20 maybe, figuring out their music taste, and like being on Hype Machine was the coolest shit because whoever had the most like underground cut of something or edit was like the sickest person. It's like we were all fighting to like have that one song to share with everyone.
Yeah, I mean the music that you love at that age is like what you're going to listen to for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And it was it's just crazy how life works, and how I was very lucky to start my career during that time, because that was when the whole gang kind of launched, like Slander, Millennium, Griffin, all the like everyone was like grinding that Hype Machine.
It was like my biggest goal. I finally got a song on Hype Machine. Like it was my biggest goal because you had to get acknowledged by one of like the main blogs, and then I went into music journalism, and I was at Acid Stag, which I always used to pitch to, and now I'm with Dancing Astronaut, who I always used to pitch to. If I went on the SoundCloud, you'd see like pitches from me like 12 years ago.
Yep.
And so it's fun to be on the other side of it. But
funnily enough, Dancing Astronaut was one of the last big ones to support me. But then
which one I wasn't with them at the time. Which one did they support you on?
It was like way down the line.
If you don't remember.
Was like, it might have been like the Galantis Help remix, but it was like a few. It was down because they were like the big, they're like the big Kahuna, and they're like
totally,
and
it mattered a lot, right?
Yes.
Back in the blog era,
yeah.
I was like, these guys are like one of my main targets, and I think we'll pivot back to people actually reading stuff again and having like editorial stuff be important for SEO, but also for like verification. It used to be important for verification purposes on social media, and now you can just buy that.
Yeah, I mean, I think my whole thing is, as an artist, you have to do what other people aren't, right? Because once something kind of pops off, and it's like everyone rushes, and then it gets there's so much noise and static, and there's just like overflowing, and you can't really stand out, and so you gotta find a way to connect with your fans in a unique and authentic way.
Yeah. I want to ask you about like these other ones that I had liked. I have Wait by Lemaitre.
Yes, they're
that was another big one of yours.
Yep, they are homies of mine. They're from Norway. They're really fucking good. They're really cool. That was a cool one because I was a huge fan, and then I did the remix for them, and then through that I got to meet them and hang out with them and like become friends with them, and it was like one of my first like, oh shit, I met someone that I was listening to their music 5 years ago. And
what is their I know we're talking about older stuff right now, we'll get to newer stuff, but like what was their like original sound that you found that you were appealed that you liked?
They were kind of like like indie electro. So they weren't full EDM, but they were kind of like indie and that sort of Mike Snow Passion Pit kind of vibe. And they sang and they I think they were working with like Zed way early.
Really?
I found one of their songs on Hype Machine. I was like, shit, like these guys are awesome. And then, as time went on, it
And you tried your hand at it with like DIY stems, or did they tap you for a remix?
I think at that point my manager at the time might have met them somehow and then like finagled some stems. I think that was when I was starting to get like real, like actual stems.
And then the Shooting Stars Bag Raiders cover. Mm-hmm. What's the story behind that? That has like so much love behind it.
So I love that song in college. Like that was the original. That was like one of my favorite songs. One of my first entries into like, it's still indie dance, but that was one of my first like, first loves in sort of the genre. And then so I started my music career as a singer-songwriter. So
yeah,
I wanted to figure out a way to showcase my voice, and so I was like, everyone's doing remixes right now, but what if I do a cover and then like I'll sing the vocal, and then so it'll be like a remix, but it's like a cover. And so I did that, and it came out, and it did like really well. I remember a bunch of blog people were yelling at me because I like labeled it Elephante Shooting Stars rather than Bag Raiders Shooting Stars Elephante cover. I was like, no. Like,
people get away with that a lot more these days.
Yeah,
you'll notice. Like I feel like right because you see like people just putting the name of the song that may or may not be. Sometimes you would assume like, oh, this is obviously a cover because I recognize the title of the song.
Yep.
But sometimes it's not so black and white.
Yeah. And so this was before it became like a huge meme, like before like the whole like YouTube like going into space meme thing happened. And so I just liked the song, and then the it kind of blew up as a meme afterwards. And so
right. And I found one that actually has DA support. There's only a snippet, but oh wait, no, this is of the Tim Gunter remix of Shake the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So you like hit him up to remix that one?
Yep. That was Tim. Tim is a homie.
Yeah.
Oh, funnily enough, I still play Shooting Stars on during my shows.
Is that on your Elsewhere set list?
It is actually.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, so I made it in like whatever 2015 or 16, and I was like, when I was working on the Glass Mansion tour, I was like thinking of songs to sing, and I was like, oh, I could sing this, but then I listened back, and the mix was so bad that I was like, okay, I actually have to go, and I like redid the song like 3 years later to like play live.
Wow.
So I have like my own version now to the like live version that actually sounds good.
Have you ever found that like you want to remaster a track from whatever back in the day, and you like can't find those stems for the life of you? Or are you organized? You always know where to look.
No, I mean, there's a certain date at which it's just like fucking gone.
Yeah.
I think most of the remix stuff is just gone. Funnily enough, on my live tour that I'm on right now, I had to go back and I was making live edits of all of like my OG stuff. So like catching on, I had to like go back and like look through different hard drives, and a lot of stuff just doesn't work anymore. So I ended up having to remake certain things, and that ended up being faster than like trying to reconcile all the files and like get all the plugins working and shit.
Yeah,
so,
I see. Totally.
Yeah.
And you're on your live tour right now for Cope, right?
Mm-hmm.
How's it been so far?
Dude, it's been awesome, man. It's been a lot of work. It's a lot more intense than just DJ shows. We're flying out with a crew of 4, and we're checking like 8 bags each stop, and from sound check until like after the show, it's like everyone's working, and but it's been really, really fulfilling and exciting, and just like I thrive on doing new things, and having the sort of fear of like I don't know what I'm doing, and I've been DJing for so long
Yeah.
that I just it's so internalized at this point that there's not as much risk. But then in the live show, it's like, I can really go for it and feel like I'm taking creative risks.
Yeah, and I so respect and admire when electronic artists like bank on their singer-songwriter, their musicianship in their live productions, in their shows. Like San Holo was just on here, and he was doing a live show, and I love like what Bob Moses and Rufus do with their live shows and stuff. And you having just started out as like a singer-songwriter with with a great ear, and I guess maybe some music theory knowledge. I think you were trained.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, right. Like
classically. Yeah, I was classically trained.
Yeah.
But
was that wasn't at Harvard though, right?
It continued at Harvard, but yeah. I was like classically trained when I was a kid, and so I had like a pretty decent grasp on theory by the time I got there.
Yeah, San was classically trained too. But I mean, in this era, people are just realizing how easy it is, and I don't mean to hate on on everyone being so passionate about the culture, but everyone is picking up DJ decks and trying their hand.
I think it's awesome, man. It's the fact that it's so accessible is great, but then it also, you don't need classical training to make great music. Like think about Deadmau5, right? He doesn't know. He's not classically trained. He's not classically trained. He just like hits notes until something sounds right. Yeah. But he has such an interesting aesthetic and ear that he's like creating these like unbelievable harmonies that are so interesting and unique to him that it's like, would he have done that if he knew the rules? But I think ultimately that's what it's about. It's amazing that people can get their foot in the door, but it's the challenge is just finding a unique perspective and a unique angle and something that is different than everyone else trying to do it.
Yeah, but I think in the way forward from the era we're talking about, we've lost a lot of melody.
I think it goes in phases, right? And I'm just a melody person. That's who I am.
And you stick to those guns, which I respect, because so many people pivot because, right, to stay in line with the trends and stuff.
Yeah, and it goes in phases. And for me, it's just I know what makes me me, and that's melodies, right? Like I'll make a dubstep song for fun.
Yeah.
But I'm not particularly good at it. Yeah. Like I'm passable, but I'm not like inspired going that's not my art. My art is like writing the songs and finding the melodies and creating textures and creating sort of like an emotional experience. Like I love listening to dubstep. I don't like it's not in my toolbox, right? Yeah. And same thing with like tech house now, right? It's like awesome, but like so much of it is just the aesthetic and the vibe and picking out like the right groove and the right hook and like
and
really
splice.
And right and like yeah and just like but like finding the right ingredients to like make
right.
That's not what I do really.
It is the perfect selection of ingredients that is what makes tech house so like distinguished.
Yeah, but like that's just not my. I don't think I can be great at that. I think I could like everything I would do in tech house would just be like trying to copy Dom Doll or whatever.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah. And I love doing that. I love it. I mean, they say, kill your heroes or whatever. Like, don't try and mimic them. But sometimes that's what, for like new people on the scene who are trying their hand at being creative or whatever, that's like a good way to like, enable be an apt producer at one point is to like copy it first and then figure out your own path.
I actually think it's the best way to learn.
Yeah.
I learned how to produce trying to sound like Avicii and Zed. And Cascade. Like I would listen to their songs over and over again and be like, how are they doing this? How are they doing that? And like compare. It's like, why does mine not sound as good as this? And just that over and over.
And you didn't have as many resources at that time where you could like download it like a mock project file.
Oh yeah. It was the Stone Age, right?
Yeah.
It was like, there were a few like shitty YouTube tutorials.
Far and few between though. Yeah.
But I will say, this is actually a quote from my idol John Mayer, but he said like,
wow, he's your idol.
Yeah, his idol was Jimi Hendrix, and he was like, I tried to become Jimi Hendrix, and you're never gonna achieve that. But in your attempt to, you're gonna fail. But where you land on that is where you find your own sound. And so, I could never sound exactly like Avicii or Cascade or Zed, but like in the way that I failed, like I don't know how they did it, but I figured out my own way to approximate, and it ended up, that's sort of like in your failure, that's how you develop your own unique sound.
And yeah, at the time, when you were young, like, I mean, you're still young. You look great, bro. But you're still young. But
bro, you're playing the songs that you're listening to in high school. I'm fucking ancient.
No. Well, I don't know. You look great. I'm getting up there. As soon as you hit a certain threshold, everyone's the same in life. That's what my biggest revelation in growing up has been, is like once you pass like a certain point in your 20s, you're like, wow, we're all the same. We're all just human. We're all doing this for the first time.
Yeah.
But how do you maintain the inspiration behind like your songwriting and your musicianship, and staying true to yourself, but like seeing the trends unfold, and like determining whether or not you want to align yourself differently, and just having fun while making music? Like, did you have fun while writing Cope, and how did you ensure of that?
Yeah, I had so much fun. It was like the most liberating creative experience I've had, because I finally let go of this, like, okay, I have to make a certain type of music. I have to, stay relevant doing this. This is popular, or blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, I'm going to make the songs that I want to make and the things that I'm excited about. And if people don't like it, so be it. But it was just kind of coming to terms with like, dude, I've been around for a long fucking time. I've been doing this for forever. And I think I'm pretty good at what I do. And so I'm just gonna lean all the way into it. And it's where inspiration comes from is always a funny question. It's like I don't know, right? It just kind of comes, and like
some people induce it artificially with substances or alcohol, and some people it comes from within.
I've tried, man. I've tried. It's just like a little thought just like burrows into my head, and then I like kind of obsess over it, and my whole thing is like, well, what comes next? And so if it could be a lyric fragment, it could be a melody, it could be anything. It's just like, okay, this is cool. What's the next cool thing? Oh, it would be cool if we did this thing next, or like this is a good melody that comes after that. Okay, now we have this section. How do we like? What's the and it's like you find one thing that you're interested in, and you just like, okay, what's the next cool thing?
Yeah.
All right, what's the next cool? Well, it would be cool if we did this. Oh, like, oh, what if we tried this? And it's that chain of just doing the next cool thing.
So where you never like get lost and are just have so much opportunity that you don't know what to do next.
Yeah, I can't do the like, okay, this is what the song is, like fill in the blanks. It has to like emerge from like, okay, I like this, and then okay, what happened? Like, oh, what if we do this? And you kind of like
right.
expand out rather than like, okay, here's the big picture. Like, let's.
It sounds formulaic, but it's not in the slightest, is it?
Yeah, no, it's just like That's where
everything's on a whim.
Yeah, and my creative energy gets drained when I'm like filling in the blanks, right? I like I said with the touring, it's like I need to not know what I'm doing and have a sound in my head that I don't really know how to accomplish, and like explore. Like the exploring and doing new things is what really is exciting for me.
I want to play some of the album, but that was spoken like a true Harvard graduate. Can you just tell us your Harvard admission story?
Sure.
And I guess that's a monumental thing to have happened in your life.
Yeah. I was a very obedient Asian boy, and was lucky enough to get into Harvard. I played tennis when I was younger, so.
Did your parents donate any money? Did they buy a building?
Unfortunately, no buildings named after me.
You didn't play any water polo on paper?
No, I did not play water polo on paper or in real life. I'm not a very good swimmer.
So you got in on your own merit.
I got in on my own merit. First one in my family. It's funny. My parents were like, I applied early, and I was like, I don't really want to apply to anywhere else. Like, if I don't get in, then I have like 4 days to like do the rest of the applications, because I was like a piece of shit.
God.
And I was like, if I don't get in, I have like 4 days to do the rest of them. It'll be fine. And
A
my
little
mom was
ego
like,
on you.
No, it was purely laziness. And then I was lucky enough to get in. Went to, and you know, as a young Asian boy, if you get into Harvard, you go to Harvard. And so I went, and even then, music was kind of my hobby. I was already writing songs and playing guitar. And I kept it up while I was there, just kind of as a thing. I think deep down I had secret fantasies about being a musician.
Yeah, I heard you say that on a different podcast. While Mark and Eduardo were writing the code for Facebook on their windows, you were in your room going.
Actually, yeah. They were a little bit older than me.
Yeah,
I
know.
You know, while
Much.
people were, studying for their, finance interviews, I was like in my fucking, in my room, writing songs and learning how to record. And
did your roommate condone your production? Did you have friends in college that were like, feeling
not
what you were doing, or
they were not super thrilled about it. So I ended up getting a single because I was like, yo, I can't. I need to, have my own space to work.
And you're an OG Ableton user, if I'm not mistaken.
I started on Pro Tools actually, but then when I started producing properly, I switched to Ableton.
Well, Pro Tools is the industry standard as far as like composition and music and film scoring, though, right?
Yeah, so for just recording and mixing, it's still kind of the industry standard, but it's not great for like creation.
Yeah.
The only artists I know that still use Pro Tools like to produce are Two
please
Friends.
share that. Two Friends uses Pro Tools?
Yeah, I don't know if they still do, but as far as like as recent as a couple of years ago, they're like still on Pro Tools. I was like, dude, that is fucking psychotic.
I stayed with Matt at Coachella. This is something that I didn't know. Damn.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know if they still do it now, but that like when I, like the last time I talked to them, they're still doing Pro Tools.
That's the foundation for the big booty mixes.
Yeah,
perhaps.
They definitely do the mixes in there. I don't know if they're producing in there as well, but.
Yeah, I went to USC and I took a class. They actually offered an Ableton class called nonlinear digital sequencing, and it was an Ableton class.
Is Ableton nonlinear digital?
I don't know really why. I've thought about that a few times.
That's like a really fancy way to just say Ableton.
I'm not sure. You know why I think it's nonlinear? Because the tab view of Ableton. This is an aside, but like how you see
the clip view.
Yeah, the clip view is. I think that's like what they were primarily trying to teach on, because I mean I never use that view. I'm not sure if you've used that view. I opened for Sango one time, who was DJing on the MPC 40 using that view, where it's just triggering samples and stuff.
Yep, that's what Ableton was originally designed for, to be able to perform live like that, and then it's
literally called live.
Yeah, but then it was just so good for production, and it's so intuitive. But with all these things, is you can do anything on any program. It's just what you're comfortable with. And it's at this point, I've spent more hours in Ableton than like literally anything else in my life. So.
And how has your sound design evolved over time? Like, did you initially, if I were to guess, I would think you'd probably were initially like on Sylenth and not Serum at the time. Massive, which I love Massive. And what is it? What are the other like OG analog emulators?
There was Nexus.
That's what I was gonna say. Yes.
Nexus. Sylenth was a big one. Massive, Sylenth, Nexus was like pretty much some Omnisphere. Yeah. Omnisphere's still good for certain things.
My dad writes for film and television. He uses Omnisphere.
Cool.
And Absinthe.
Yeah, Absinthe was too scary for me. I never figured that one out.
Would you use like contact libraries ever? I mean, or
at
some point?
I definitely use contact. I still use a lot of contact libraries. If you're like looking for something specific. So like, I have like a East Asian contact library that samples like Chinese instruments, right? And like that's something that is like pretty esoteric, and it's like you're not gonna remake that in zero. So
Is that your background? You're Chinese?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
They just did a Pulse Events just did a Chinese New Year party at the Brooklyn Mirage.
Yeah, I was
With Millennium.
I was doing a song for a movie that they wanted like traditional Chinese instruments in it, and I was but also dance. So I was like, okay, I need to I like figure out how to get a erhu.
Have you entered the sync world, or have you done any works for hire for film and television in your career so far?
A few things here and there, nothing like major, but just
And nothing associated with Elephante, of course, right? Associated with Tim Wu.
I can't remember how it was credited, if it was Elephante or Tim Wu. I scored my friend's short film for fun,
That's
stuff
awesome.
like that. But being an artist is like more than a full-time job, so it's like I only have so much time. But it's definitely something that I'd love to do down the line. It's a lot of fun.
And how do you maintain like your energy level while you're on tour? Where have you come from? Where have you been so far?
So we've
This
been
year?
all right. We've San Francisco, L.A., Texas, and Dallas and Austin. A bunch of Canadian dates in Edmonton, Calgary, Winnipeg, Madison, Wisconsin, Seattle.
Was
So most
Madison,
of us-
Wisconsin like all frat kids?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just curious.
And then we're doing this is like the first east I did Boston, but then I have New York, Toronto this weekend. Next week is Denver, Chicago. Then doing Miami Music Week. Then I think it's Charlotte, Charleston, and somewhere in North Carolina.
What are you doing at Miami Music Week?
I'm throwing another Hidden Horizon showcase show for the label that I started
Okay. What year was that founded?
last year. Actually, last year.
So this is brand new. Your record label,
Yes.
Hidden Horizon.
Yes. It is. It's a label, but I think of it more of as a collective, and the idea is to uplift up and coming AAPI artists, singers, writers, producers. Just because when I was coming up, there weren't a lot of Asian artists. It was basically Steve Aoki, the Godfather, but he was so big that he like kind of didn't even count anymore.
Benihana, shout out.
Dude, I was rewatching Breaking Bad, and like so the
Favorite
first
show.
season came out in whatever 2010 or whatever.
Yeah.
And fucking Jesse Pinkman is wearing a Steve Aoki shirt.
Is he?
That's how fucking famous Steve Aoki is. Is that in Breaking Bad, fucking Jesse Pinkman was wearing a Steve Aoki shirt in the first episode.
I was gonna ask what season.
Literally
this is the first
in
episode?
the first episode, he's wearing a Steve Aoki shirt, and
That's
I was
a-
like, "Oh my god, he's been popping for so long."
I kind of just got. That's crazy.
Yeah. So he was always like in a he was in
In his own league,
Yeah.
for so long, and people. I used to apply to dim mock internships whenever they'd show up online.
yeah.
Could never. I also, I got a little bit closer with an Owsla internship to almost be a studio intern. Did you watch I'll Sleep When I'm Dead? It was Steve's Netflix.
I
doc.
no, I actually haven't, but I've been meaning to watch it. But he's an animal, and he's a really nice guy.
You've
But
met him
anyway,
a few times.
yeah, I met him in Vegas. And like I just said hi after his set, and he was like, "Hey man, love to hang out, but I'm getting on a jet and going to Dubai or something." And I was like, "Yeah, no, that checks out."
That checks out. Just nonstop. Okay, so you're helping out young.
Yeah, so basically, early on I had a lot of shame and self-doubt, and I felt like an imposter because I had this idea that Asian people couldn't be artists, and because there weren't a lot of examples, right? And so I really wanted to distance myself from it, and it took a really long time for me to come to terms with my identity and how important it is to who I am. And so I didn't have a crew, I didn't really have any mentors, I didn't have a group of people that I could lean on, and so I wanted to create what I wish I had for the next generation of artists. Whether it's helping them right, putting them in touch with vocalists, giving them career advice, bringing them on tour, just kind of giving the next generation an opportunity to kind of launch their careers.
So have you been listing any supporting talent on this tour for?
Yeah, so a ton of the opening art, like it initially started with Sabai and Huang and Yetep on my tour 2 years ago. That's kind of where the genesis started, and then as time went on, like I saw those guys thriving and really, how much they've done amazing work. I just gave them a little nudge in the right direction, and that was really fulfilling for me. So we have Fells on a bunch of shows, Muse.
Muse that's pretty big.
Yeah, no, and
I was joking because it's not the band.
Oh,
yeah. How do you spell this?
MVSE.
MVSE.
I'm
curious.
Not Matt Bellamy.
Yeah, sick. So when you were on tour 2 years ago, this was before the label had started, the collective rather had started.
Yeah, and so I was just kind of doing it, bringing the boys out. I liked their music, wanted to give them an opportunity to go on tour, and
it can't be this podcast if we don't get sirens, and that was our first siren. It's been pretty good actually, but we live on a corner. I live on a corner.
We're going crazy in here.
This New York shit, man. It's like it's becoming kind of a token of this podcast as we get like some sirens every now and then.
That's how you know it's real. It's that raw shit.
Yeah, it is that raw shit. Adds some character, this shitty little Brooklyn studio. You've got dates spanning through like late April right now.
Yes, through the 20th or something. I don't know.
April 19th in Tempe, Arizona.
I just go into survival mode where I'm like, I don't go to the shows, get home on Sunday, sleep, try to get my life together, figure out where I'm going that weekend.
Do you still get the same high when you're up there?
Yeah, when I'm on stage and the music has started and I'm playing, it's awesome. And I think every performance is kind of its own unique thing, and I think particularly with this new album, it's like seeing people sing. And people like getting excited when I start a new song.
It must be so rewarding. Yeah,
that is why you do it. Because just with the music culture now, it's just music can feel really disposable, and you put so much time into making a song, and then you put it out, and then like a week later, it's like on to the next TikTok, whatever. But then seeing that people actually engage with it, and they're like, oh my god, he's playing this song. It's like even the songs that didn't stream particularly well, but then you see someone like run to the front of the stage, and it's like that's the stuff that really that makes it all worth it.
Right, like especially if it's kind of like a deeper cut off of a full length project. Like, because how much of Cope did you put out before you dropped the whole thing in late November of last year?
So we waterfalled it. So there was most of it came out as a like they had come out as singles, but it had been, so by the end, I think there were 3 new songs. But
seems to be the way people do it now.
That's just the way you have to, unfortunately. But I always knew that the album was. I conceived of it as a single piece, but you have to balance your artistic vision with like the commercial realities.
Yeah. So as the label boss, you decided the singles that went out ahead of time. Mm-hmm. Was there any shopping this to any like more, I guess, established? I mean, it's your label, that's awesome, and you're a big name in itself. But like, were you shopping it outside at all, or was the whole plan for it to be on Hidden Horizon?
No, I wanted to do this one independently. I thought so. My previous album I had done with 88 Rising, and I had kind of had the label experience, and those loved the people there. It just didn't quite work out with them.
Is that Joji and crew?
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Yep. And so I knew I wanted to the sacrifices that you make when you are getting a big check from a label. And so for this one, it was like I know what I want my vision to be, and I think I know all the different pieces, and I think we can do it along with my team can do it ourselves.
Someone from your team told me that you have like a drum and bass kind of thing on here somewhere.
I do.
Which one is that? Let's play some of it.
Amends.
Sometimes I think about everything that's happened between us. I don't like the way that things ended. And I wonder if somehow we could still be friends. Maybe we could make amends.
How do I say I'm sorry? How do I say I'm sorry? How do I say I'm sorry when I'm not? I don't like the way that I've offended. I don't know what I should have expected. With all your feelings, I guess I offended. Said I was cool, and I was a fool. How do I say I'm sorry? How do I say I'm sorry?
Yeah, I love that. That Rufus he synth in the back. Yeah.
When I'm fucking not.
Fuck yeah. I love that second drop section gets even dirtier. Yeah.
It builds.
Continues even. Is it just one kind of snowballing?
Well, the second drop gets big. It does like it gets kind of electro in the second one, but
The vocals are great. These were. I love the harmonies here on this hook.
you.
Yeah.
I was very proud of these.
Yeah. Love those breaks, man. I'm curious, what's your vocal processing chain? How do you process your vocals?
See if I can remember off the top. So I there's a preamp built into my mic, but then I run it through a UAD Neve 610.
Yeah, nice.
Then it goes into UAD 1176 into EQ into a multiband.
Yeah, nice.
Into I think another compressor, maybe the Pultec. I can't remember where. There's another one somewhere, and then more EQ, DS, and then one more compressor after that. And then I run all the effects parallel. So
nice. For all you gearheads or software gearheads, that's for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I have like a rough kind of mapping for it, but I think I'm like okay at vocal mixing. I know some people that are fucking insane, and it's like its own thing.
Totally its own thing.
But it's I've learned how to. I know how to do it with my own voice.
And Amends is trailing, which is not okay because that is a fucking banger. We need to stream that one up and get that in the running with the top performers on this album.
Thank you.
Because that one is a banger for sure.
That's one of my. That's actually. That's like my sleeper favorite on the album. It's my favorite to perform live. And it's just, but I thought I love listening to drum and bass, but obviously even when I make bass music, it's melodic. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it was just like one of those things that was like, it's kind of a niche thing for me, but it's really fun.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. And then are you because you're playing it elsewhere, and that's what that's tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a live show?
It is a live show. It is. We're doing the damn thing.
Really? Okay, cool. And so you do a sound check? Will you do a sound check there before? Okay.
Yeah, we're doing the full stage build. Bringing my drummer, my LD. Yeah, doing the full Monty.
I'm gonna have to come. I'm gonna have to come to that, bro. That's awesome. And how did some of these collabs come together with this first one, for example, with Sabai and Olivia Ridgely?
So so I've done two. How did this one come together? So we did one song together because when we went on tour in 2022, we did Love Again, and then after that we wanted to work. He's like my little brother now. He's we're very close, and so he was in LA, and we're like, hey, let's because he's from Canada but was just in LA, and so he came over for a few days, and we just started writing, and I love Ridgely's voice, and
How did you find her?
so she had worked with Sabai before.
Okay.
And so they had done a song together, and so we were writing, and so we actually we wrote with her on FaceTime. We had like kind of the rough demo. We were writing with her, and then little Easter egg. So at the very end of the song, there's like a part where she's kind of singing a cappella, and it kind of sounds like it's through a voicemail on a phone.
Yeah.
The reason it sounds like that is because she actually is. It was literally her singing on FaceTime, and then us holding another phone. Like we had her just sing it like with the headphones on, and so she was just singing a cappella, and so we recorded her singing through FaceTime on a phone, and then put it in and just like kind of left it raw like that.
That is so cool.
To get like the sort of practical effect of
because so many people try to emulate that effect with,
and we're just like, no, we're just gonna do that.
Yeah.
Originally it was for the demo, it was just like for us to work on, but then I was listening to it, I was like, dude, this is sick. We're just at the very end of the song, we're just gonna put it in naked like that. And so
yeah, the lead off track, let's play some of this one. Do you play these keys live as well during tour?
I'm playing guitar on this,
Yeah,
so I'm
cool.
not doing keys on this. But
Yeah, bro, her voice kills. Has she come out on any shows with you to sing this one?
No, not yet. But I'm hoping to get her out. She's in Montreal, so when I'm out there, I'm hoping to have her.
That would be
her
great.
Come through, yeah.
I want to hear what you're talking about near the end of it.
Yeah, it's just like at the very like the last 15 seconds.
Call it even. Wish you'd say it like you mean it.
That's like perfect pitch.
Yeah.
So you didn't even like have to melodyne that at all.
No, just fucking like just fucking raw, like the raw voicemail sound.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, she's dope. And then you got Amber Lou. Who is this girl?
Amber is a homie of mine. She was in a K-pop group for a very long time. We actually met during a Valorant charity stream. So she's a gamer.
Cool.
And we were on the same team, and we got stomped by some pros. But then
What was the game?
Valorant.
Oh man, I don't know. I'm sure it's huge, but I don't know it.
Yeah, it was and then so we just ended up, talking, and then we're like, hey, we should make a song. This is Don't Turn Back with Linny, who's a homie I've known for years.
Oh, I was playing the wrong one. Shit. Sorry about that.
All good.
This is with Linny, not Amber.
Yeah.
And you didn't meet this girl playing video games. How did you?
No, I've known Lenny for forever.
Cool.
We actually had a session fucking 10 years ago, and nothing ever came of the song. But then we, reconnected and had a session for the song, and I just had the little piano thing. It was actually inspired by Golden Hour by Jake.
Yeah.
I
hear that.
The big,
yeah.
and I was like, oh, that's a really cool, that sort of repetitive piano thing, and I had that, and then we, got in the studio and
yeah. Very future bassy, which I love. I love.
It's like future bass with DMB drums.
Right. Because the OG future bass was more like hip hop percussion, right?
Yeah. The second drop is more of that sort of
like trappy.
Yeah,
feel.
halftime.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I was listening to a lot of D&B and garage and a lot of breakbeat stuff, and I got really into the different rhythms and the 150 BPM, 4 on the floor, 150 drum and bass, the sort of double time stuff.
Yeah,
because I've just been doing halftime stuff for so long. I wanted to,
for sure,
try out some new stuff.
Do you ever feel pressure to take your BPM into the 130s, 120s? I mean, I guess that just makes it house music.
Yeah, I mean, there's some halftime stuff. Halftime 130 feels pretty slow.
Yeah,
but, each genre is, it's they have their own space, right? I have a house, the lead single is a house track, so
yeah.
It's you find, you do whatever's right for the song.
Right.
You don't try to fit it into a box.
I want to hear the second drop. Or yeah, more. Yeah, those hat rolls. Yeah, that's sick. So when all of this is embargoed before the release of it, are you having people? Because I guess the reason people like to stick in the range of the 120s, 130s is because people will play it out. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's hard to play out. I mean, it's not. As a former open format DJ, I was across the enormous spectrum of tempos.
Yeah, I mean, for better or worse, when I'm writing music, I don't think about how other people are going to play it.
Yeah.
I make it for my own enjoyment and inspiration. If other people want to play it, that's awesome. But trying to make music for a specific format is just not very inspirational to me.
Absolutely.
So it's like "Taste of Your Tongue," which is the lead single. As I was writing it, I was like, okay, this is like a song that can be played out and like very easily. And so we're like, okay, like this can be the sort of radio single, right? But it wasn't like it was like I have this song and I have these songs. Which of these songs that I like are make the most sense for any given format? It's not like, oh, I have to make something like this to for because I'm not just like checking the box.
No, for sure. And then of course your remixes album. I want to play the original of the first single from Cope, but then let's talk a little bit about the remixes album. What are those vocal chops?
So it's a sample of it's actually just a sample of her saying like tongue, and like I chopped it up and did a bunch of four-man stuff. And like a lot of the weirdness just naturally comes from the sample when you're pitching it and bending it. And then it's I've been listening to a lot of Jitter House, so there's like so that was I thought that was like a cool
Jitter House. Is that comparable to Stutter House, or do we just?
Oh, maybe it is Stutter House. Yeah, I think that
like Fred Again's bread and butter.
And like Bunt is a big guy. I don't. Maybe it is Stutter House. I can't. I'm not good with genre names, but
setting like that. I usually like set a gate to it to like a muted percussion that's going at like the.
Yes, you can do that, or I used LFO tool on that one just to get the sort of stuttering.
Yeah. Does Harvard ever reach out to you and be like, "Yo, like you've been killing it in this like we want to, I don't know, honor you in some way"? I mean, does your school ever like hit you up and be like, "You're a notable alum"?
Short answer, no. Harvard is not big on, shall we say, like cultural alumni.
I see.
They're too busy churning out presidents and and finance CEOs, and there's not a lot of donation money coming from artists. So
that's true, I guess.
But the student organization, like I recently, when I was in Boston, I did a talk at the Electronic Music Club, which is
that's cool. What is that really in Boston? Cool. The Electronic Music Club?
It's just like the student organization at Harvard. Like it's like a student club, and so I went back and like I did a guest lecture or whatever.
Did you ever collab with anyone at Berkeley?
No, I went to Berkeley a lot. I was playing open mics at Berkeley. But back then it wasn't like back then electronic music wasn't really a thing yet. They didn't have they didn't even have a program. And then by the time when my career really got started, I was already in LA. And so I've met a bunch of Berkeley people since, but it's all like people who have moved moved to LA.
Because USC, actually, Zoo was in my like rival fraternity. I was in a fraternity. Zoo was in Teak, and he was doing all of his stuff like during college, but it took until kind of after. Actually, a funny story about Zoo. I went to see him at the Shrine, like my freshman year at USC, and me and my buddy were like, what? How old are you when you're a freshman? Like 18, 19, and we like obviously, weren't 21, and we brought in this like bottle of Fireball, and got caught with it, and then I got taken to like the Shrine dungeon, like the Shrine jail. Like, the venue, obviously.
Yeah.
And it was like in the back.
I didn't know there was a jail.
There's like a holding place, and like they said don't come back after, and I was like, did I just get banned from the Shrine? And I was in line next to this guy, and they were like booking him for being like inappropriately aggressive with girls, and I just couldn't believe that I was like in the same room as this fool. But that's funny. He puts on a great show always.
Yo, pro tip: if you gotta just put in clear alcohol, so then it just looks like a water bottle.
That is a pro tip, and I learned how to be better about it.
Not for the record, not that I condone underage drinking, but if hypothetically one was wanted to be a degenerate and do that, but you should probably just stick to clear.
Yeah, most festivals don't really give a shit. Coachella never gave a shit. Like when I was young, that's a very young festival. I'm gonna go this year for the first time in a few years. But we would always get it in like with a Camelback or somehow, like at Fuck Yeah Festival in LA, which I don't think they do anymore. I was there the year that Kanye took over for Frank Ocean when Frank Ocean was supposed to perform, and then I was at the Coachella actually where Frank Ocean did perform, and he sucked ass. It was terrible. And I had like put like a whole thing, like a whole fifth of vodka like in my shorts, and like as I was getting security checked, it just falls to the floor, and we both kind of just like look at each other like, you can throw that away. Like, let's just not make this a big deal.
Yeah.
Did you grow up going to festivals?
Not really. My first festival was, I grew up in Michigan, so there wasn't a whole lot, near me.
What part of Michigan?
Ann Arbor.
Cool.
There wasn't a whole lot, like...
Not a lot going on that was accessible, right?
Yeah, we had our like local shit, but like not the closest thing would have been like Lollapalooza, and my parents would never let me go to Chicago for that.
Damn.
So my first festival was actually Coachella after college in 2012.
Who was headlining that year?
Was that? I think that might have been the Swedish House Mafia year. It was.
I wish I had like a Jamie like Rogan has. Maybe one day I'll have a tech assistant who can take.
Oh yeah, Dre and Snoop Dogg. That's what it was.
Radiohead, Dre and Snoop Dogg.
Dre and Snoop Dogg. That. Yep, I remember. I remember that well. I saw the hologram there. That was sick.
That was the year they brought out the Tupac hologram.
Yeah. Yes.
Damn.
That was legendary.
I was at one a few years after that, where Ice Cube was headlining.
Oh. Yeah, so awesome. I'm looking at the lineup, and Cascade, I have vivid memories of being at the Sahara tent watching Cascade and hearing Eyes and being like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Because at the time, I was making music. I was kind of doing remixes for fun, but I was like, do I want to just keep doing the singer-songwriter thing or whatever? And then I saw Cascade. I was like, I want to do that.
And Cascade has been being booked at Coachella like every few years, because I was there like 2016 and he was main stage or whatever, not quite headlining.
Yeah.
But you are like the OG narrative of having gone from like the corporate route to like switching into the electronic scene, and John Summit rides that narrative a lot, very heavily, and to his, it bodes well for him, it works for him, but like you have that OG appeal to you.
Look, it is we as a DJ and an artist, we live like a very charmed life, and I think there's a everyone has the fantasy of fucking quitting their job and going and being a DJ.
What was your job, or did you have one after graduating?
Yeah, I was a consultant.
Okay.
And it was very miserable. I was really, really unhappy, and I was just like, I got to give music a shot or I'm never going to forgive myself.
Did you have a major lead, or was it like I'm gonna just jump into this ice cold water and see what happens and get uncomfortable.
So in retrospect, it was so fucking stupid. It was like, I can't believe I did that, but this is actually a funny story. So the thing that put me over the edge was I had been putting some like remixes out. This is before Katy Perry, before any like sort of real traction.
Any real traction? Yeah.
I just, I was getting like a couple of thousand plays here or there, and so I got a message from Prep School Recordings from a guy going by Tony Fresh, aka Dr. Fresh.
Oh shit! Didn't he went to USC? I think
He did,
Yeah.
and he had a label at the time. I was like, "Hey man, I've heard your SoundCloud stuff. I'm trying to do an official. I see if you want to do an official remix of a duo that we signed. They go by Millennium Falcon." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Look, we can't. I don't have funds to pay you, but like, we'll get you on Beatport." And I was doing like the Beatport contests and everything at the time, and I was like, oh my god, I'm getting a fucking official remix. I'm like,
you're lit.
I'm fucking there, man. Like, I'm the fucking shit. Like, I'm gonna be Avicii in a year. And I was like, Zed just did this remix stuff, and like, nah, I'm just gonna do it now, and like, I'm fucking like, this is it. And then that was what gave me the impetus to quit my job. And of course, I did the remix, and nothing ever happened.
Did it even come out?
It did come out. And then very funny story. A few years later, I was, this is like probably 4 or 5 years later, I was going to play a college show, co-headlining with a guy named Millennium.
Wow.
And so I was like, we were hanging out going to the show, and I was like, just weird question. Like, I did a remix for Millennium Falcon like 5 years ago. So is that just coincidence? He's like, oh god, man. He's like, it was when he was still a duo making like progressive house, and
wow.
so I did this remix, and then he wiped all of it, and had rebranded as just Millennium. But
who was Falcon?
I think it was his old partner. But like in between, he had like gone to rehab, gotten clean, and like rebranded as Millennium. Like came up with the whole Falcon logo thing, but yeah, it was just like crazy small world that Dr. Fresh discovered me and put me together with Millennium like before any of us were doing anything.
That's super sick. I used to love Dr. Fresh's little remixes on SoundCloud. I used to play those out all the time. And like,
dude, he's crushing his whole G House thing. Like,
yeah,
he's doing super well, and yeah, it's just funny how we were all children then, just like stumbling around trying to figure it out, and
it's interesting. I had no idea Millennium was in a duo, but it's it's like a trend obviously with like What So Not and Flume dipping and Cut Snake with Fisher dipping. And
I mean, I think it was like creative differences. Like, this was way back. This was like when he was a baby. Right, this is like before,
I have to cut 1 second. Okay, minor technical error. We're back. We were just talking about how bunch of duos split up into single acts, but I mean, creative differences and.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened, but it's just funny that Millennium Falcon was progressive house. This was before melodic bass was even a thing, before he like became who he is. It's just funny how the world works.
He sold out Allegiant Stadium, which is also.
I thought you were gonna say he sold out of progressive house.
Oh yeah,
like damn.
Well, I guess Mal P did that as well. Here's some more sirens.
Yeah.
Mal P as Maurice was progressive house. He was like,
really?
He was very much into like the golden EDM stuff prior to. Lots of murders in the building. Hopefully outside the building.
Dude, it's just the only Audion. He's the only one.
And I love him. I love him, man.
The only true progressive house messiah.
So Sad is so good that his recent release. I'm hoping to have him on sometime soon. But yeah, I mean, what do you want to do in the future? Like, how big are you hoping? Are you still like really hoping to like grow and be like a stadium touring artist, or like, do you not care about that? Do you still have that vision for yourself, or is it really just about the music first? Which I guess obviously it's always about that first, but
I think I always want to keep growing, and but for me, I'm at the point in my career where that's not really what drives me anymore. I've done a lot of shit. I've accomplished a lot, and to me, I want to make music that feels authentic to me and inspires me. And a lot of the things I did earlier in my career to quote unquote get bigger, I didn't feel a lot of satisfaction from. And so to me, it's like not putting the cart in front of the horse. I just think I want to make the music that feels good to me and I feel excited about making. And if I do that, then I will get, whatever comes my way will feel that much better.
I just totally consider you in a class of artists that precedes the social media marketing era, that is like all the hyper marketing on TikTok. Obviously this is talked about in excess, and some of the people from your class, if you will, jumped on those platforms like TikTok, and you can speak to this. I would like you to, but you guys all came from like this really organic origin that was the blogs and just online niche exposure with like people that are finding you, discovering you, rather than just like spamming on TikTok. And how did that transition, like how do you feel about that transition, and how did you adjust to it?
So when I came up, and the game was you put music out and that was what spoke to people, and there wasn't a lot of, that was it, right? You heard the music and you liked the songs, you wanted to hear more music from the songs. I feel like the paradigm has changed now, where it's much more about having a personal relationship with the artist, which is tough for me because I'm very much not an influencer. I'm not really interested in marketing my personal life. I'm a music first person and probably will always be. I think there's certain things that with social media that you just have to, it's part of the job now. But to me, I spent a good amount of time where I was like, okay, like the social media marketing, that's the most important thing for your career. I'm going to focus on that and have music take a back seat. And I tried it for 6 months and just really hated it, and was just like, this is not why I became an artist. And if my career suffers because I am not prioritizing it, so be it. Because at the end of the day, that's not my art. I'm not above doing like fucking stupid videos. Right?
I don't think that's what you're saying at all. And
it's just, to me, it's like, I know, like, I think as an artist, you got to do the things you're good at. And so there are artists that have created amazing careers, and because they're really good at it and it's authentic to them. Like fucking Dylan Francis is like, he's incredible, right? He's so good and charismatic, but that's his art, right? That's what he does. That's who he is.
Yeah. He was like that even before this era.
100%. Right. And so that's who he is. And it's like, for him, it's awesome, right? Everyone makes their career in their own way, right?
Even Getter, as well.
Yeah. And so for me, it's like, I'm not a social media person. I'm like inherently a pretty private, like I have to force myself to do socials, which is the people who are really good at it, they just do it, right? They don't have to try. And so for me, it's like, I'm going to make my music, and I'm going to, I believe that the songs that I write will, mean something to the people that really love it. And that's I keep that as my North Star. And all the other stuff is like, you do stuff because you have to, but like, that is ultimately why I'm an artist.
Yeah. And just speaking to your point, I agree that doing it, if it doesn't feel true to yourself, is not, it's not being above it. Yeah. It's just like being, having integrity. And I also think the point of having some mystery about an artist you like is always a good thing, and not like feeling like their next door neighbor always necessarily. Because now it's like, you know, before you'd like, if you'd see an interview come out with an artist you really dig, like it's like, oh my god, like I can actually like see, like get a look into his personal life and like what he has to say and his thoughts and stuff. And now it's like expected that everyone who wants to be an artist is like exposes everything about themselves.
Yeah. And I'm not interested in doing that. And if like I didn't become an artist to like become a personality, like with my you know, like I was never Justin Bieber, right? But I was, you know, I like to say I'm niche famous.
For sure. Yeah.
And like my experience with fame has been like pretty mid. Like there are obviously very nice things about it, but I realize I'm not interested in being super famous
and not being able to go to the grocery store.
Yeah, that sounds like hell. Like I just want to walk my dog and like live my normal life when I'm not on stage, and that's who I am, and I'm at peace with that. And it's like, obviously I'm very grateful for the fans, and when people show appreciation, like that's awesome. Yeah. But you know, when people just want something from you and they just want a photo, like I've spoken to friends who are very, very famous, and they're like, it's fucking miserable.
Oh man.
So
I'm sure. Well, I mean, you created the platform for yourself before all of this insanity ensued. But if you were to do it today, I guess in a different way of like prescribing advice to aspiring producers, DJs, or whatever, like if you had to start fresh today and in today's landscape, how would you go after like self-marketing and doing the DIY thing? Would you sell out, or not sell out, but would you dive into the whole social media thing, or would you tackle it from a different angle? Because
it's hard to know, because it feels very different in my personality. But when I first started, I was so hungry that I was like, I don't care what it takes, I'll fucking do it. And I'm a little older and less psychotically driven. So my big principle thing I always tell young artists is you have to become someone's favorite artist. It doesn't have to be everyone. You don't have to be Billie Eilish, right? But you have to be able to point to 100 people in every city who you can legitimately say you are their favorite artist. Because most people who are going to shows, they're going to one or two a year. Maybe tickets are expensive. So
it's hard to get people out, yeah.
So it's like you have to ask yourself, well, why would they spend that money on my show versus going to the Chainsmokers or going to Millennium or going to whatever, right? And so you have to find your niche where people feel really passionately about you. Yeah. There are tons of TikTok artists who have millions of followers and they can't sell a single ticket, right? Because people don't actually really care. And so to me, it's about going deep, not wide. And so however that is, whatever it fits in your personality and your vision to really connect, and that's the magic, right? And there's no single answer to that. Like for some people that is social media, and that's awesome. And so for other people it's, you know, just music, and it's just, you have to find the thing that makes you different and makes you stand out. And I think it's harder than ever because there's just so much content. But you just have to find your thing, and it doesn't have to be the biggest thing, but you have to have something to where people will choose to go to you over anything else.
That was insanely well spoken. Saying go deep, not wide completely resonates, because we live in a world now where everyone is famous.
Yeah. But sort of conversely, it's like those deep relationships with your fans, like that's why I still have a career, right? Is because, you know, I have these relationships with fans who have come to dozens of shows and who know the lyrics to every song. And it's like, is my fan base as big as whoever? Like, not necessarily, but I know that the fans I do have are fucking ride or die.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that I've always hung my hat on as an artist, is where like I really appreciate and, you know, give everything I have for the people that really care.
That's awesome how much you care about them, man. I mean, now the music marketers are dying trying to figure out how to convert followers into fans, because you could have so many followers and maybe no fans, maybe no true loyal fans, and that's
the tricky thing, right? And then if you have a lot of followers and a lot of fans, then you're Taylor Swift, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like if you can have both, then you're a fucking superstar.
100%.
But I think creating a real relationship with a few fans is something that's within your power.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. How is this remix album is only a couple months old.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to talk about it. How did these come together?
So yeah, this was a bunch of artists that I've gotten to know and have reached out to and become friends with through some of the Hidden Horizon stuff, and just young artists that I think are talented, and just wanted to give them an opportunity to work with like professional stems and give them a little bit of a platform. And I tried to get to know a lot of these artists and try to curate which song I thought felt worked the best for them, and just hit them up and be like, hey, would you want to work on this? And I'm really happy with how they came out, and I've been playing a bunch of them at shows. And so it was a really really fulfilling like I put a lot of like personal thought into it, not just like hey, like go get someone. So
yeah. Oh yeah, because I was gonna say, like, how much of this was your vetting and rather than your team doing it on your behalf?
It was all vetted by me.
Yeah.
My team suggested some people,
Yeah.
but ultimately it was all like, hey, I think that I like this artist and I think their sound would work for this particular song.
And I'm sure you love different, track selections at different times that,
Mm-hmm.
but like, what's one that you're really vibing with right now? Let's just pick one to like listen to.
My favorite song to listen to is the All We Get remix by Xylan. It's not it's a very vibey, chill one, but like for me to like just listen to and just like
because that's totally different, right?
Yeah,
just listening in your headphones.
Yeah,
What are you listening to in your headphones, by the way? If you're on a plane, a long flight, are you listening to electronic?
I very rarely listen to electronic music now. I listen to a lot of like singer-songwriter stuff. I'm on a big female singer-songwriter kick right now. I'm really into Gracie Abrams. Like, I'm obsessed with Gracie Abrams. There's this
Sabrina.
Not as much
she's
as
more
Sabrina's a little
big stage,
she's
big
a little
production.
little poppy.
Yeah.
Like Japanese Breakfast.
Love Japanese. They're playing Coachella.
Japanese Breakfast or Japanese House. I can't.
Japanese Breakfast.
Japanese Breakfast. Yeah. Japanese Breakfast. She's amazing. There's this country guy that I just discovered. Like I'm really into Econ.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And there's this guy Steven Wilson Jr. that I just got put on, who's fucking awesome. And then when I'm listening to like dance music, it's like, or like electronic music, it'll be like Taiko or Odessa or like Lane 8 kind of stuff.
Taiko, is that Taku?
No, Tycho.
Oh, do you remember Taku?
Name sounds familiar.
TA:KU.
Yeah.
He did like the 21 Nights for Nujabes, and he did like that Left Alone Flume remix.
Yeah. No, but it's
I miss you, bro. Where are you? Come back.
It's like just like vibey, like kind of chiller.
Yeah.
Atmospheric stuff.
And before we play this Xylan one, I also want to ask you, like, were you in like the Soul Action fan club? Because do you not know, I mean, maybe it was pretty niche, but it was like Sango, Esta, Mr. Carmack.
Funny, I know those. I wasn't super into it, but funny story. I was at EDC with the Slander Boys, like in 2013 or 14, and like I was hanging out with their crew and had just met them, and well, I knew Scott and Derek, but I was like met the crew for the first time, and we dropped acid, and I had a they really wanted to go listen to Mr. Carmack, and I had a really bad trip.
Oh no.
And like Avicii was playing on Circuit, and Cascade was playing on Kinetic or something, and I was like, guys, I really want to go there, and they're like, no, we're gonna hang out at Mr. Carmack, and I had like a really fucking bad trip. So that is my his music's dope, but that is my main experience.
I can't
with
believe
Mr.
you stuck
Carmack.
that out. You didn't go off like on a solo excursion to like.
Well, as one of the guys wisely told me, when you're in your rave crew, you are a multicellular organism. If you go out on your own, you're just gonna die, and you're never gonna find anyone. Like, you don't always get to go where you want, and you all kind of push and pull, but you have to travel as a group, or else once you get separated, there's no coming back. Like,
oh man, I guess that's true in like a really intense. I've actually really a confession. I've never been to EDC, but which is bad. I need to go. But I went to Outside Lands. I went to by myself. This was the first time I've gone by myself to a festival, and I really enjoyed it because I just got to like move however I wanted. I got to like go to one friend group, see like a few friends from, this part of my life, and then move over to see some other friends and go to whatever sets that I wanted, and I like knew where I was going back to. So while I agree with what Scott or Derek said that, but
it was actually Kevin.
Okay.
Who's their Redline, who's their VJ.
Yeah, I think that's smart advice, but I think going alone is also a sick experience.
Yeah.
All right, let's play this silent stuff.
I'm staring in your eyes and you stare right back.
That's okay.
I see my future in your looking glass, and I've been thinking of the meaning of all the wars and the dreams we had. We didn't always get what we wanted, a hand to hold on when we're falling. The skies are rough, but if this is all we get, it'll be enough. We didn't always get what we needed, but we got someone to believe in. We gotta love, and if this is all we get, it'll be enough.
Oh hell yeah!
Just like makes me happy.
Add to liked songs. Very streamable. Very listenable.
Just like happy, joyful,
Yeah.
like just like makes me happy. Right.
It's not a punch in the face. It's like a nice little hug.
It's just a hug.
Yeah. Sick, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I wanna cap this with listening to something of yours. I know you were working on a demo in your hotel room, and I hope it's not too premature, but
Yeah, no, I heard it was the podcast called IDs Only, so it needed to come with an ID.
come up with an ID. I mean, yeah, something that's not out there that we can like kind of provide some exclusivity on.
So yeah,
So I got
I
the Dropbox link here. Yeah.
yeah, so I finished the album in was it July, some time ago, and took a little bit of a break. But then before tour started, I wrote a bunch of new music, did a bunch of sessions, and so I've had a bunch of like seeds.
Sorry, let's keep going. The light shut off, but let's just keep going. We're almost done.
Had a bunch of seeds, not all of them necessarily will become full songs, but they're kind of in the beginning phases, and this is a song that I was excited about working on, and so took a red eye to New York last night, whenever it was, and couldn't fall asleep, so I was just in the hotel room working on this track.
Hell yeah. Dream Season Demo V1. Here we go.
There was a time I thought it would last forever. Dream I thought for a cheap life.
a maniac for arpeggiating those kicks. That's great.
It's a little rough, but we'll
Nah, bro, I love that little synth action. Is that a serum patch?
That is a serum patch.
You know, I could tell by the not to out you, but the chimes, right? That's like one of the serum noises.
No, the chimes are a sample.
Oh,
the,
shit! I stand corrected.
The chimes are a sample. The whoop, 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 whoop,
Yeah,
that's a serum.
Sick,
that's a
dude.
serum patch.
I mean, I really hope you continue to work on that because.
Yeah, no, I mean you know, I was listening, I was like, fuck, the vocals peaking really bad right now, but you know, it's I think the concept is there, and it's like when I work on these, I kind of just try to sketch out the, you know, like the drum little, I want like a stutter thing, and I, you know, we'll figure out what it exactly feels like, but
Totally.
it's just kind of like marking it out. But
Yeah.
I think the meat of it is there.
The meat of it is there. It's an idea. It's a rough cut. We understand. There's might be some clipping, but it sounds great.
Yeah.
And if it's anything like anything else that you do, it will become great. And we are looking forward to it. I can't wait to hear more music. I know you're riding the wave of this album, and I wish you success on the rest of your tour, bro. And thank you very much for coming on and just hanging out and talking. And
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
yeah, dude. All right. Peace.